Things have finally started to happen on our land, and that's good news for those of you who are getting tired of seeing nothing but my handsome face. Now that there's something more interesting to show you, you're going to see a whole lot less of me. So what is happening here? Well, it probably is not that clear from the videography, but to be fair, I had to use my phone on this one. What you're watching is the marking off of the land. The pink cable that occasionally comes into view marks the boundaries of the land, as well as the planned position of the house. The town government wants to know exactly where on the land we're going to build the house. We're locked into a few legal requirements. The Japanese government requires us to build 5 meters back from the street. I'm not sure this is a universal law, because I know most houses back in Nagoya are barely a meter away from the street. So it might be different in different places, but here in Hakuba, we have to be a minimum of 5 meters back. Actually though, 5 meters back isn't far enough for us. One of the key requirements for us is to save as many trees as we can on the land. There are about 30 odd trees on the property, several oaks and red pines and even a couple of sakura trees. We know we're going to have to cut a few of them down. It would be impossible to build otherwise, but we want to save every tree we can. It turns out that a magnificent red pine is growing just at 5 meters, so we need to back off a bit further in order to keep that tree. It's gonna look amazing framing the house. There's a local town rule we'll need to follow too. We need to leave 3 meters of land on either side of the house in order to have a place where the snow can pile up after coming off the roof. If the snow piles on the neighbor's land, nobody's gonna be happy. So that rule is a good one in snow country. And this is definitely snow country. It's a tight squeeze, but we'll be able to save some trees on either side of the house, including a fantastic oak on one side and a sakura and maple on the other. Those trees are gonna make the seasons look beautiful. Another rule we have to follow is a neighborhood rule that states that the house can take up only 20% of the land. That's quite a slight footprint, but we can make it work. It's a good idea, really, because it means that we can leave a line of trees behind the house that will really give us the feeling of being in the forest. Sort of. We can still see the neighbors' houses, but there are a good 20 trees back there, and all of them will stay put. So that's what we're out doing today. It's a funny feeling walking around the underbrush and thinking, here's the living room and here's the kitchen. But of course, that's exactly what we were doing. Back at the drawing board, we pretty much decided on the floor plan and the design. All we need to do is make the budget work. We're not there yet, and that's a little concerning, but everyone is trying to cut a little to get the project under budget. This is when we have to ask ourselves, do we make the house smaller or do we make it plainer? Should we trade all of those fancy lights and wall coverings for plywood and bare light bulbs, or do we sacrifice the space? I've had the advice to make it smaller and keep the bells and whistles, but I'm of a different mind. I can always put jewelry in the house later, but I can't make it bigger, at least not without making it obvious. So we're cutting jewelry and making the build as simple as we can. Once we get this house finished, we're going to have a lot of work to do.